Ahl Bayt, they give you an insight into this day. They're telling you that this sunnah is coming from Ibn Ziyad and Bani Umayyah. They said they established the fasting on this day, and they fabricated these narrations so that the people can make this a day of celebration, and it will take their mind off of what happened in Ashura. So if we read the narrations about the people who fast on that day because they learned the sunnah from Ibn Ziyad and Bani Umayyah, it says in those narrations, for example, there's one from Imam Sadiq al-Islam. He said, whoever fasts on that day, based on Ibn Ziyad's words, he said he will take a lot, he will take like a straw on the day of judgment. And he said, what straw is this? Ibn Rasulullah said, this is the straw which will take them to hell. The lot which will pull them and take them to hell. And many such narrations. So we see it's a split. Then on the other hand, those narrations which say it's very good to fast on the day of Ashura. They said, with what intention? They said, if somebody makes the intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has caused the final condemnation of the enemies of Allah on that day, and they want to thank Allah for that, this is very, very good to fast on that day. Very good to fast on that day. So, among the Shia scholars, there's more than one opinion. So some of the scholars, they said, very good to fast, with that intention, of course, with that intention. And the others, they said, no. Because of the differing opinions, most of the scholars, they said, makruh. Just stay away from the fasting, and there's one Sahih hadith, which says, break the fast at the half of the day. Break the fast at half of the day. But there were scholars, for example, Sayyid Khouy, he said it was good to fast on that day based on that intention. But if we take a look, for example, in Mafatih Jinan, we see that the narration that most of us act on, because usually if we find in Mafatih Jinan, it is an authentic narration as well, and it says that the fast should be broken at half the day. Fast half of the day and then break it. Cool. So this is the fasting on the day of Ashura. Another issue that sometimes come up is Ziyarat al-Ashura. Among us, among our own people, we have had few people in the recent times who have said that Ziyarat al-Ashura is not valid, people should not recite it, and so this has caused some controversy in some communities. For example, there was an individual in Iran, Muhammad Rayshari, who actually had people take out the Ziyarat al-Ashura from the Mafatih Jinan. Because on the ground saying that this is not a valid ziyarat, there are too many problems with it. And we also had some other people in different parts of the world who said the same thing. So, is their claim valid or not? If we take a look, there's much research done on this matter, and it's very clear that their claims are completely invalid on the authenticity of this ziyarat. One, from the narration chain, some people claim it's weak. I'm not going to go into the narration chain, but if you like, there are many scholars that have always said this is sahih, 100%, there's no doubt in it. And why? And they broke down the narration chain. The other issue is the la'na. The issue of the la'na. So what they have said is that there was no la'na in the original manuscript of the ziyarah. This was something that was added later, fabricated later. And for example, there were some, like I said, I named one Muhammad Rayshari, the other one was the late Sayyid Fadlullah. Another one, for example, is very famous in the Arab world. His name is Sheikh Abradi. Anyway, this has created many issues, and many people differ now. Many different parts of the world on this matter. So what they have said is that it wasn't in the original manuscript, and is that correct or not? The manuscript that they were looking at to say it wasn't from the original, the work of Ziyarat al-Ashura has come through one of the books of Sheikh al-Tusi, who was one of our biggest scholars. One of his students, his name is Sayyid ibn Tawus. Sayyid ibn Tawus has a manuscript of that ziyarat, and in his handwritten manuscript, there is no section of the la'na. So they have based their claim on this. There's a very interesting research article done on this by the late Marja Jawad Tabrizi, Sheikh Jawad Tabrizi, rahmatullah. And what he showed was that in the manuscript that was there, where there was supposed to be the la'na there, Sayyid ibn Tawus had written an abbreviation, and he has put that manuscript available on his website. Furthermore, he showed that there were many other students of Sheikh Tusi who were alive at the time of Sheikh Tusi, and they have their manuscripts in several libraries in Iran, and these manuscripts have that ziyarat in them, and they're dated back to the time of Sheikh Tusi with the la'na. So, we see that this claim is not substantial. It's not substantiated. So, these are two issues that sometimes people bring up during the time of Muharram. And it has caused some issues in other communities. Not this one, alhamdulillah, but other communities has become a problem. So that issue is clear, alhamdulillah, has been made clear by the scholars, and there is no issue in the CR. And of course, la'na is a part of the religion. Allah mentions in the Quran, we talked about that. The second night I was speaking, 32 times Allah mentions that He curses people and makes la'na on different groups of people. And so there's no problem in this issue. So now, alhamdulillah, many of the youth are asking, what is the duty of the believers in relation to Ashura, and in relation to the month of Muharram and Karbala? How could they prepare themselves? What type of message are they supposed to take? One, my message to the youth is, of course, Islam is a complete package. Don't think of only Muharram as a time to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't think that you can only derive the rules of Islam during this time and from the story of Muhammad. Of course you can extract oceans from the story of Muhammad, but there's a much wider, broader look at religion that everyone should be adopting. But in relation to this night, I want to stick on something specific. What's something that people could do and to remember? Make sure that their beliefs are correct. Their beliefs are correct. And this is related to Ashura, and I'll tell you why. Shah Abdul Ali, who was buried in Tehran, he went to visit Imam al-Hadi. And when he went to go visit him, the narration states that he greeted the Imam, and what did he ask him? He said, "Ya Imam, I want you to please check my beliefs and see if they're correct. I want you to tell me if my beliefs are correct, so that I know if I have the correct beliefs, and I will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will not have lied against the Prophet, and lied against Allah, and lied against the Quran with false beliefs." So the Imam, he told him what he believed, he told him his aqaid, and the Imam said, "Very good, your beliefs are authentic," and then he went on his way. So, having authentic beliefs is very important, very important. And we know the maqam of Shah Abdul Ali, what status he had. So he's very wise when he asked the Imam. He's asking something very important. So how does this relate to Ashura? What types of beliefs you have? One, you have to understand what types of fake and false beliefs have come into the religion with the background that led to events of the murder of Muhammad. One of those beliefs is lack of free will. Having a lack of free will. So does a human being have free will, or do they have a lack of free will? Is there no free will at all? If we take a look at the history, narrations which talk about human beings not having any free will, according to the historians, when their analysis, they have been fabricated during which time? The time of Bani Umayyah. During the rule of Muhammad. To show that there is no free will among the people. So why would they fabricate this? So that when the Khalif is there and he's committing all these crimes. For example, I'll give you an example, even before the time of Muawiyah. One of the governors, Walid ibn Utbah, he used to get drunk all the time. One time he was leading the prayers. Fajr prayers, instead of 2 rakats, he prayed 4 rakats because he was so drunk. Then he turns around and he tells the people, "Shall I pray 2 more?" They went and complained. They said, how did you put this individual above us? And by the time it got to the time of Muhammad, it was much, much worse. Much worse. We take a look at, for example, the predecessor of Muawiyah, he gave the khums of Africa when they went to conquer Africa. He gave the khums of Africa to his own uncle. And he was collecting all that khums for himself. Tons and tons and tons of gold for himself. And people, they rioted over this. There's so many different actions that they did. Banishing and killing of Sahaba. Abu Dhar al-Ghafari. When he used to protest against the government, no, they sent him out to the desert, and then he starved to death. Abu Dhar, one of the best companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Shia of Imam Ali Islam. They banished him out to the desert, and then he starved. He died of starvation. People noticed it, they saw these things. When the governor doesn't allow, for example, somebody who's not Arab to come inside the city of Medina, which happened? One of the Khalifas one time, he sent a letter to Ziyad. Ziyad, the father of Ibn Ziyad, they used to call him Ziyad, son of his mother, because they didn't know who his father was. He was the governor of Basra. One of the Khalifas sent him a letter. He said, I want you to kill every Ajam. He said he was worried about Ajams. He said maybe they're going to kill him. He said, I want you to kill every Ajam who's taller than a rope. He sent him a rope. People didn't hear about this? They didn't see these things? Anyways, so these hadiths, they came up with these fake hadiths. They said there is no free will. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed upon you, that's it. Allah says it, whatever happens in this life, whatever you do, it's already predestined for you. And so when the Khalif does this or the Khalif does that, and the Khalifa does this or this action, it's no problem. Allah destined that. You can't control it. You just have to accept. You just have to accept. Now what is Ahl Bayt? What do we say about the issue of free will? It's a very simple issue. The Imam said you have some free will, and some things are out of your control. For example, was I able to control where I was born? No. Am I able to control how tall I will get? No. Am I able to control many aspects of my life? No. But how I react to everything in my life is in my own control. People are responsible for the actions. If they're not responsible for the actions, then what's the point of the judgment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And Allah is not Adam. If He's already decreed for you that you're going to go to hell or heaven, every action you've already done is already decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what's the adalat of that? So you see, it's very important having correct beliefs. Because, for example, somebody believes that there is no free will whatsoever, they have no choice, then they've lied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They've made Allah, astaghfirullah, into a dhalim. Well, we see this is where it came from. The hadith of Bani Umayyah. Another one, who has the right to rule above you. This is a belief. This is not just something that, it's an opinion. No, it's a belief. It has to be correct. There is a group that has a right to be above you and to rule above you. That's Ahl Bayt, the Imam. Those people who Rasulullah told us they will rule over you, that's it. And there are narrations, for example, from Rasulullah where it says, if the Khalif says something, the Imam has said something, don't go against it. Whatever he does, don't go against it. And this is correct if he is the just Imam, the true Imam, the real Imam. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So they take these narrations and they apply them to the other Khalifs. And the people were listening. The people followed. They said, okay, no problem. We can't disregard what these individuals say. Here's Rasulullah has said that. Then further, once the people started seeing all their crimes, they said, we have to object. These people are not the rightful rulers. So then they brought these individuals who they used to pay. They used to have people that they paid to make these fake hadiths. And they would come and they say, okay, new hadith is now what? If the ruler, he's a criminal, He kills people. Even if he drinks, he's fasiq. Commits sins openly. You still have to accept it. And this is the belief. Believe me, this is the belief till today. Many of these people still have that belief till today. It doesn't matter what the Khalif does. It doesn't matter what the leader does. Because they said, oh, Allah says the people above you, the people in authority over you, those are the people you have to follow. That's it. So this is the person in authority. I'll tell you, there was a tradition that they started that the first speech that you give on the day of Jummah should be something about in praise of the leader, in praise of the person who's in charge. The second speech about Islam. I remember there was somebody here in California. This is during the time of Gray Davis, and because they believed in that, until today they believed in that. I remember the first speech in the Jummah prayer was praising Gray Davis when he was governor. They were going on because they believe it's wajib. He's the authority. There's many people till today they have this belief. So look, this is where it crept into. This is where it crept from. This is where it came from. We know that these beliefs are nonsense. We don't have any association with this type of belief. But to understand the severity of this, you have to even look at the crimes that some of these people did, and still, the people still fall. Ziyad, they say, and when he was governor, he killed more than 100,000. 100,000 Shia of Imam Ali. Ibn Kathir, he's a Sunni historian, and he writes tafsir. He said, I swear Ziyad, when he was governor, they used to kill any person that they find who was a follower of Ali. To the extent that if there was a follower of Ali under a stone, they would have killed him. They used to put needles in their eyes. They used to hang them from the trees. 120,000, no one said anything. People used to recite Quran. Followers of the Prophet, Ashab, Ibn Ziyad. Look at some of the people Ibn Ziyad killed. Maytham al-Tammar. The follower of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. That person, Maytham, who was so close to Imam Ali, who Rasulullah told Imam Ali about him. If you heard the story of Maytham, he said one time Rasulullah, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he went to go purchase a slave from the market, and then he saw one of them who was Maytham. At the time he had a different name. They'd given him an Arab name. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he went to him, he said, What is the name your father gave you? He said, first he asked him his name. He gave him the name that they gave him. He said, this is not your name. He said, I know Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told me about you. And he had told me that you had a name, different name. Tell me what name that your father gave you. He said, my name is Maytham. He said, then keep this name. He purchased Maytham, and he kept Maytham. He freed him, and then he kept him as his partner. Maytham, who was the partner of Amir al-Mu'mineen in business, and he was his friend, and one of his closest companions. And they arrested him for what? For nothing. For being a follower of Amir al-Mu'mineen, they put him in prison. And then when they executed him, they pulled out his tongue, and they hung him on a tree. They crucified him. They crucified him on a tree, and they left his body there for days. And people, they saw this and they didn't say anything. They didn't say anything. Silent. Because they believed in these fake narrations. I don't know if that's the thing, or maybe they were just so cowardice that they didn't say anything. Unfortunately, today we still have people believing in these fake narrations. In Morocco, let me tell you, in Morocco, the regular population, they probably don't know what's going on. In Morocco, till today, they celebrate the day of Ashura. And I saw that. They have fasting on that day, and then at the end they bring and give people chocolates, and they shoot off fireworks and things like that. Most of the people probably don't know what it's from. But it comes from the time of Ben Umayyad, it's the same thing. So today people are still following these traditions. These traditions started by which kind of caliphs? Those caliphs like Yazid, who used to have a fountain of wine. A fountain Can you imagine? Some people drink a bottle. This man, he had an entire fountain filled with wine. Yeah, he had a pet monkey. This is also correct. He used to have a pet monkey, he used to play with him, and when his monkey died, he brought those people who used to recite the Quran, and those people who used to give judgments among the people, the religious people, he brought them, and by force, he made them make a funeral for his monkey. This is Yazid. Until today we have people, they say Yazid radiallahu anhu. And we saw history was full of these tragedies. From Khalifa after Khalifa after Khalifa after Khalifa after Khalifa. All the things they did. When they were building Baghdad, they used to put human beings in the walls of the city. You know that? They buried people in the walls of the city. Almost all the time it was the people who were Shia. Just put them inside, bury them alive inside the walls of these cities. The shrine of Imam Hussein, that blessed shrine, if you read the narrations from it, that heart of that shrine, that dirt which is in that shrine, if you read the narrations, they say that dirt is from Iliyin, the highest level of Jannah. They destroyed that shrine more than 17 times in history, those Khalifas. And how many times they came and burned it? How many times they came and ransacked it? How many times did they come into that city and kill everybody inside? All the crimes. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. I couldn't go over all these. There's too many. There's too many. And still till today, there are people that say you have to follow these. You have to follow these people. You can't disrespect them. You can't say anything against them. There's a narration. Few narrations actually, but I'll just narrate one of them. And somebody came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He said, the people, they call me Rafid. Rafid. It means I reject. Because we reject the Khalifa. Imam, he patted his chest. He said, I am a Rafid. He said, Wallah, this is the honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the people. He said that there was no group with a prophet that didn't follow that prophet and reject the oppressors, that they weren't called Rafidi by their people. And he mentioned Musa. And he said those people of Bani Israel who rejected Fir'aun and resisted against Fir'aun, and they stood with Nabi Musa alayhi salam, he said they called them Rafidi. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَإِذْ مِنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ. So Allah mentions that in the Quran. He says, remember when we saved you from Fir'aun? And he used to slaughter your men and leave your women? This was a great, great test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those were those Rafidis, and we are the Rafidis still waiting to be free from Fir'aun. Because till today, they're oppressing us, killing us, and you already know the news, I don't even need to mention it. Till today. We're waiting for that Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. And we rejected those people because we accepted Ali ibn Abi Talib. Who was Ali? I want to read something. This was the description of Amir al-Mu'mineen from his slave Qambar. Qambar, he was a slave of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and he was brought in front of Hajjaj. Hajjaj was one of the tyrants. He killed many people, and he killed many of the Shias. Very big tyrant. Hundreds of thousands of people he killed. And he also used to make a lot of claims against the Shias. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he said, Hajjaj, he was the first person to call the Shias Zindiq. There's another narration for another one, how cruel he was to the family of Muhammad. They said one time a man came to him, because the people knew how bad he was. They said a man came to him, he said, Ya Hajjaj, I wish for you to give me some prize, give me some money. He said, why? He said, because in my entire tribe, my entire Ashira, we don't have one person named Ali. He said, really? He said, and more than that, we don't have one woman named Fatima. He said, give this man whatever he wants. Qambar, he was that slave of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. he used to bring the water, and he used to pour the water onto the hands of Amir al-Mu'mineen when he would make wudu. So he brought Qamba, he said, "Who are you? Explain yourself." And Qamba gave a very beautiful reply that the historians have noted. And he described Amir al-Mu'mineen in such a beautiful way. He said, "I am the slave of the one who fought with 2 swords. I am the slave of the one who fought with 2 spears. The one who offered prayers towards 2 qiblas, who made 2 bay'ahs, was never disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for even the blink of an eye. I am the slave of the one who is the master of mu'mineen, inheritor of the prophets, master of successors, greatest Muslim, master of religion, nur of those who fight in the way of Allah, master of those who cry during their prayers, the glory of worshippers, the light of believers, the most pious, the tongue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first mu'min of Al Yasin. I am the slave of the one who is the teacher of Jibreel, master of Mikail, one who was praised in all 7 heavens, who is the killer of Naqiseen, Marikin, and Qasitin. I am the slave of the one who is the protector of the honor of the Muslims, who fought against the enemies of Allah. I am the slave of the one who is the treasure of Allah. I am the slave of the one who is Amir al-Mu'mineen and successor of the Prophet, who is the trustee of Allah upon His creation, and who is the Khalifa of Allah upon every creation. I am the slave of the one who is the master of all Muslims, who was Allah's sword upon the munafiqeen, and He was Allah's word to the worshippers, helper of the religion of Allah. I am the slave of the wali of Allah, and Allah's word, and His hujjat on the earth. I am the slave of the most glorified Imam. I am the slave of the master of the brave. I am the slave of the lion of Allah. I am the slave of the destroyer of the enemies of Allah, who is the most sacred cousin of Rasulullah, Imam of those who are guided, master of the Arabs and non-Arabs. I am the slave of the father of Hassan and Hussein. I swear by Allah, I am the slave of the master, the true master of mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam. Description of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that brave Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he was the one who was being remembered by his daughter Zainab. In the night of Ashura, Zainab came to the tent of her brother, Muhammad Hussein alayhi salam, and she was crying. She came to him and she hugged him. She grabbed onto his neck, that blessed neck which Rasulullah used to come and he used to kiss. He used to say, "Ya Habibi Hussein, come here. I want to hold you." And he said he would kiss his neck and he would say, "Grandfather, why are you kissing my neck?" He said, "Because I swear the people are going to cut this neck." And then Zainab, she came in. She said, "Yo, my brother Hussein, are you really going to fight tomorrow? Are you really going to fight tomorrow?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Then who will be left with me? My father Ali, the one that we just mentioned, the one that we just described." He said, "My father Ali alayhi salam, he's been murdered. My mother Fatima has been murdered. My brother Hassan has been murdered. Who's left? Who's left, Ya Hussein? How? Why is it that you're going to go fight?" Zainab alayhi salam, she had so much faith, so much iman. Her brother told her, "This is the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we must take it. We are from Ahlul Bayt. This is the path of Shahada. We are on this path, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined it for us." And she accepts. She accepts. On the day of Ashura, when they saw that all the people had gone and they had fought and they had been killed, Zainab alayhi salam, she comes to Imam Hussein. She says, "My brother, everyone has sacrificed. I want to sacrifice too on this day." Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he said, "You've already sacrificed enough. How many relatives have we seen killed? You're already an orphan. Allah has you've already paid your due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What more do you want?" She said, "Please, my brother, it's my honor. I want to take my 2 sons here, Owen and Muhammad, and I want to send them to the battlefield." Owen and Muhammad, they were probably only about 12, 11 years old. Imam Hussein said, "How could I send these young youths to the battlefield? They're so young." She said, "My brother, please, allow me this honor. He said, my sister Zainab, you never asked me for one thing in my entire life. So how could I say no on this last day? This is my last day on earth. How could I deny you now? Bring your sons. Imam Hussein, he came and he hugged them. And then Zainab came and she wrapped a turban around both of their heads. They took the sword. They said they were so small when they were walking to the battlefield they could barely lift the sword in their hands. And they went to that battlefield, both of them, Muhammad and Owen. They put them on horseback. They sent them out. They fought, and they fought bravely. The people said, who are these children? They said, they must be the children of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Never have we seen children. They said, we have never seen children who have seen their whole families been killed and been thirsty for so long. Come and fight us with this much ferocity. How could this be possible? They said they went and some Naeens came and they attacked them after they had killed several of them. They came and they fell down from their horses after they'd been attacked, and they fell down. They cried for Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. And he went to them and he said, he held them in his arms and told the children of my sister, Allah blesses you on this day. Allah has given you the blessing of Shahada on this day. When he went back to the camp with their bodies, he saw Sayyidah Zainab in sajda. Look how much sabr she has. Look how much sabr she has. He said she was in sajda and she was saying, oh Allah, accept my sacrifice. Oh Allah, accept this small sacrifice from me. She put up her hand, she said, oh my brother Hussein, give me the good news. Did Allah accept? He said, yes my sister, Allah accepted not one sacrifice from you, but 2 sacrifices. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah وللأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليكم مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعل الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين